everyone. My name is Alison Woodall and I'm a relocation coach. That means I get to help you with the financial, logistical, and emotional issues that make moving to a new state so stressful. And today I am talking to Bonnie Dobbs, and she is a Medicare expert, and she's going to talk to us all about the things that we need to know if you are moving with Medicare, and in particular, how to age in place. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I know Bonnie's going to tell us. Bonnie, welcome.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I am very excited because if anybody's been looking through the YouTube videos, they will see we did a video a few months ago. So we're going to touch on a few of the topics that we talked about before. But for those people who haven't watched the video before, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're such an expert in Medicare?
Sure. Well, nobody wakes up one morning and says, I think I want to be a Medicare expert, right? So what happened was in 2006, my now deceased ex's father developed Alzheimer's. And I got to see firsthand how Medicare works because I was in the nursing home or in the memory care almost daily visiting him. And that's what everybody talks about. So because of that, I was like, well, I've got my insurance license, and if I don't understand it, this stuff must really be confusing. So I've kind of made it my lifelong mission just to learn everything I possibly can and stay on top of things.
Well, so Bonnie, I know today we're going to talk specifically about aging in place. So I don't really know what that is. Could you just explain to me exactly what aging in place is?
Sure. It's your ability to live in a safe, comfortable home so that you can have the ability based on your age and on how you are physically to go into the later portion of your life. So everybody would like to have that opportunity, but few people actually plan for it. And this is something you can actually start thinking about. It doesn't matter if you're 30 years old. So this is not just an old people's problem, okay? But the older you get, the more thought that you should put into 5 things that I'm going to go over today.
Okay, and presumably, if you are moving with a senior or an elderly family member, this is something that you could be thinking about on their behalf, so that you can help them to prepare as well.
Absolutely, you're right. If you're going to be a multi-generational family, like if your mother or grandmother is going to come and live with you, then these are the same points that you should be thinking about, as well as your loved one, what they think that it would look like to age in place at your home. Sure.
Okay, and also presumably if you are leaving California and they are staying in California, you'd have to think about them aging in place in a different state and put all kinds of things in place if you are in a different state, as well as if they're moving with you.
Absolutely. And sometimes those type situations are much harder to come up with a final answer. So by thinking about these things today, it sure will alleviate a lot of stress later down the road.
Well, perfect. Well, so we've said there are 5. So would you like to start off with what is the first one of the 5 that we can talk about?
Sure. Of course, it's your home, your living space. So, in your mind, you may have not really thought about it, but everybody kind of thinks about where they're going to be living near their end of life, but what you may not have thought about is the different things to consider getting to that point. So, are you thinking about living in a tiny house? Are you thinking about living in an in-law suite with a family member or a friend? If you want to live by yourself, do you want to live in a high-rise in an urban area, or would you feel most comfortable out in the country so you can still, grow some tomatoes and herbs on your back porch, perhaps? So kind of getting that definite place in your mind about home, where would you like to live? And the other thing that you brought up is, what if your family has moved to another state? then then you're going to have a total different thoughts about what aging in place is going to look like versus if you were living with family or friends. So the first point is your home or your living space. What do you want that to look like? And some other things like home modification. If you're planning on staying in the home that you have now, can you build ramps? What about getting bars in the bathroom? Just some simple things like that to get started with, are things that you could do now that you maybe not want to wait till later, because hey, I don't care how old you are, I think bars in the bathroom is a good thing.
I totally agree. And then presumably if you are moving a family member with you, you need to think about the kind of home that you're going to buy, whether it's going to have an in-law suite, a basement that you can convert. Do you need to add a ramp or bars or accessibility for a family member if they're going to be living actually in your home with you? And also, if they want to live in the countryside and you want to live in a town, then maybe you have to buy them a place of their own somewhere close by. So you are totally correct. All these things about where you want to live, and if you're moving with family members, or if you are the elderly person who's moving, you've got to think about those things. So what's the next thing after you've thought about where you want to live in your home? What's the next?
Sure. The next thing you would want to think about would be your health, because how are you health wise now? Are you driving your car? Are you going to, you going hiking up mountains, or, and as you get older, what about your health? Do you have a history in your family of poor health problems, or yourself? Do you think you may be developing either heart problems or osteoporosis or a million different other things? But how is your health now? And then should your health decline, what's that going to look like? What about if you get to a point where you can't bathe yourself or dress yourself or prepare your food? That's those are things to consider now, because hopefully now everybody is in a place where they can take care of themselves. But as we age, there may come a time when you need additional assistance like that. So your health now, and then definitely think about what would happen should your health decline and how you would address that.
And also, obviously I look at this from my point of view. I've just spent a month in England with my parents who are in their late 70s. I'm getting close to 50. So I look at that genetic legacy and how can I prevent the issues that my parents are dealing with? But I'm also looking at their health and how I can make sure that they are provided for, because, I'm not just in a different state, I'm in a different country to them. So Bonnie, when you've thought about all of those kind of healthcare issues, you tried to plan for potential health issues, made sure you've got great healthcare in the state that you're moving to, or if you're leaving, family members behind, making sure that they've got good healthcare when you leave. What's the next thing that people should consider?
Financial ability. So that's one thing. Many Americans don't save very much money during their working life, and then whenever they're in their 60s, they go on a fixed income through Social Security. So it's going to take more than Social Security to finance your aging, so that you have aging in a pleasant way. Let's put it that way. So you enjoy your golden years. So some of the things that you need to think about now is like, how much cash can you save? What about your assets? Like your home, your home is where is your largest asset. So how much is your house worth now? How much would your house be worth whenever you get ready to retire? So you can sell that house perhaps and have that money should you want to live in a different home environment. And then things like, stocks, bonds, any type of pension that you may have. So think about all of your assets and then what possible, bills that you're going to incur, like your insurance and so forth, which brings me to the next topic is seeing an elder care attorney or having someone help you to get like your wills in place. Make sure that you have a power of attorney, because without a POA, did you know you cannot even change somebody's insurance? So like if your mother did live in the United States and for some god awful reason she became incapacitated, if you did not have a power of attorney, you would not be able to change her insurance. Well, if all of a sudden there's a need for you to take over her affairs, there's probably been some type of crisis and she can no longer take care of her affairs. Well, that's one of the biggest things is now that there's now that there's a medical crisis, she needs her insurance changed. She may move, or she may have had a stroke, or she may develop Alzheimer's, So getting a power of attorney, getting your wills in place, and make sure whoever is going to take care of your affairs knows how to get access to this. Okay. So everybody, I know there's so many people and they don't want to do a power of attorney because they think it means somebody going to take me over. No, that's not what it means. It means in the event that you can't take care of your affairs, someone else can. And make that choice now, because I'm sure you would rather make that choice than somebody else make that choice for you. And if you don't have one, it's going to have to go through the court system and they're going to appoint a guardian, and that guardian may like you or that guardian could care less. So while you're of good sound mind and body, make those decisions for yourself now.
Yeah.
And then under financial, the last thing that falls under that also is your medical insurance. Well, most people are going to be on Medicare. So have your plan reviewed whenever it comes that time, or if you're just becoming Medicare eligible, make sure that you understand the two different ways to get coverage and that you make a good choice the first time.
Okay, well, I'm going to link to the previous video that we did, but while we're talking now, just in case someone doesn't have time to watch that video, what are the two different ways that you can get Medicare that you just mentioned?
Well, first of all, you always have to have original Medicare, which is Part A and Part B, and that only pays a portion. That leaves you owing the Part A deductible, Part B deductible, and that other 20%. So the two ways to get coverage is one with the Medicare Advantage plan. Now, Medicare Advantage plans are known as replacement plans, meaning instead of you going by the rules of original Medicare, you'll go by the rules of that Advantage plan, and you'll have co-pays, co-insurance. They're the ones you see on TV that has the dental, vision, and hearing. You will have all of the benefits of Part A and Part B of original Medicare, but you'll go by the rules of that plan. The other way is to get a supplement plan, and a supplement plan will pay either the Part A deductible, Part B deductible, and that other 20%. There are many different plans that you can choose from on that. Supplement plans do not have the drug plan built into it, so you would have to purchase a standalone drug plan. So the two ways is number one, either an Advantage plan, or the other way would be a supplement plan and a standalone drug plan.
Wow. Okay. So that if that's all, if that sounds as confusing to you when you're watching this video as it does to me, that is why you need to contact a Medicare broker. And I'll put all of Bonnie's information at the end of this video so that she can explain it in a lot more detail to you, or another Medicare provider could. All right. So we've covered home, we've covered health, we've covered financial. What is the fourth thing that you need to think about when you're aging in place?
One more thing I would like to talk about while we're talking about the Medicare part is whenever you're moving, there are three things that should be considered. And we talked about that in our previous YouTube chat. The number one thing is find a broker. Find a broker whenever you're moving, because I'll give you a good example. There's one major insurance company in California that people are so familiar with. And it's like the King plan there, or the King company there, because there's one on every corner. Well, when you move to almost any other state, that particular company has a very low amount of providers. So contact a broker and let them research every plan in your new service area. And please don't get hung up on the current plan that you're on, okay? Because that could be the best plan for you in California. It could be the absolute biggest nightmare in the next state that you go to. So number one, contact a broker. Number two, know when to enroll. That's the month you move, and you have 2 months, up to 63 days after, or 2 months, okay? Otherwise, you won't be able to get enrolled in a plan, and you will get a penalty. Number three, once you've moved, contact Social Security and Medicare and give them your new address. So number one, contact a broker. Number two, know when to enroll. And number three, contact Social Security and Medicare and give them your new address.
Perfect. And people, when you say broker, sometimes that has like the wrong kind of connotations, because we always say with booking a moving company, never use a broker because they're out to scam you. It's totally different with health insurance, isn't it? Because that broker has your best interests at heart. They're not going to get any kind of compensation for signing you up with a certain plan. They just want to find you the best, plan to suit your needs. Is that correct?
They get a standardized commission. So there's no incentive for the broker to put you on one plan versus another plan. So yeah, but an insurance broker is someone who offers all the plans, so they can research and do a comparative analysis on all the plans in your new service area. Yes.
Because I always want to make that clear, because when I talk to moving companies, we say, do not use a broker, never, ever, ever. But insurance is different. You need to use a broker because of that standardized fee. They get no benefit referring you to certain plans or other plans. It's standard fee. So then they're going to recommend a plan that has your best interests and your needs at heart. Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've covered home, health, financial. What's the fourth part of aging in place?
Transportation. And transportation doesn't seem like a big deal. And I don't think most of us think about it. I know I didn't think about it originally, because it's like, I have my car. Americans love their cars. Okay. But as you get older, you may not be able to drive anymore. So that kind of is going to be in coordination with where you live. So if you live with a family member and you can no longer drive, then you got built-in transportation, because somebody in that household will be able to take you wherever you want to go. But should you want to live by yourself, then there's things like Uber. I don't know if people are using taxis anymore. Maybe they are. I don't use Uber or taxi, so I don't have any experience with either. I'm still a car person at this point. But thinking about where you live. Okay, so if you become incapacitated for whatever reason and you can't drive, if you're happy living in an urban area, there's the bus. That's another alternative. Or or the train, through some like the metro in Washington, D.C., or MARTA in Atlanta. That's another option. Or maybe your house is, you live in downtown of your little city, and you can walk to your grocery store or walk to your doctor, or maybe you have some friends who can take you. But transportation and access to transportation is going to be a big thing, because if you are considering or live now out in the country where, you may be 30 miles from the nearest hospital, that's going to be something that you need to take into consideration. You're also going to be isolated out there. So think about not only where you live, but how you're going to get around, once you can no longer drive your car.
And I would agree. And something even as simple, if you're someone who likes to walk around your neighborhood, if you're moving with family members, think about what that neighborhood is like, because so many neighborhoods and a lot of states don't have the same kind of sidewalk access that California and Florida, in my experience, have, or an urban area in general.
Right.
No. Well, perfect. All right. Well, so what is number 5?
Number 5 is support network and social engagement. So one of the biggest things about growing older is family. How close do you live to your family? What about your friends? What if you're going to have to move for whatever reason? What if as you get older, you're going to have a new home? So what about in that area? What about your family and friends? Because with family and friends come activities. That's when we have community. And also in your area, what is there a place that you can volunteer? Because staying involved is so important, whether it's going to the gym or volunteering, anywhere. There's so many different opportunities, for volunteering. Or sometimes people keep a part-time job, until they're in their 90s. So as long as you're productive, think about social engagement. I know this is the number one thing that I run into. It's when people are married and one spouse passes, oftentimes they want to stay in the house. Well, that house becomes so isolated once they don't have their spouse to go do things with. So that may be a time whenever you want to think about moving, just so, you may want to move closer to your family, closer to where some of your friends are. Make sure that you stay where you can have some kind of support. Your support network is so important. And then spirituality, do you go to church every Sunday? Or since COVID, so many people stopped going to church, and they watch church now on TV or social media. And so it's just as important to keep or think. Actually, I think some of these things become more important because you have more time for leisurely activities and more time, to help out, whether it's volunteering or develop a spirituality. Sometimes people want to just start learning how to meditate or go to yoga. It's not always a religious connotation, but many times it is, So social engagement and your support network, that is one of the top things, but it is number 5 on this list of things that should be considered as you age. It's like, what do you want this to look like?
I like it. And then obviously from if you are moving with an elderly relative, just like if you have kids, you look at the schools that are available for your kids. If you're moving with a senior, you need to look at, are there senior centers? Are there, because I know a lot of the counties have senior centers. I know that there's swim programs that are specifically for seniors, gyms, like you said. I think we have something called Silver Shoes or something where the gym, that's right. I knew it was something to do with where a lot of people that I know from my church, they all meet up at the gym and they go make it, take advantage of all these programs. So, just like if you have kids, you look at what your kids need. If you're moving with elderly relatives, there are so many programs out there. There are so many opportunities that you just need to think about their needs and obviously ask them what they want. Because my mom would not want me to make decisions for her. It's that open dialogue, but it is something to consider. Well, wonderful. Okay, so home, health, financial, transportation, and then social engagement. Yes. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to kind of add? I think we went into depth in a lot of, into each of those different 5 subjects.
I can't think of anything right now. If anybody would like to contact me, then I would be more than happy to answer their questions about this.
Okay, well, perfect. So I'm going to put all your contact information wherever you're watching this video. Is there a best number that you could give people to reach you, or do you prefer that they send you an email? What's the best way to contact you?
The best way is to call my office, and that number is 770-373-7541.
Okay, and can you help anyone? So if someone is in California, or if someone's in a different state, and maybe then they're not moving to Atlanta or to Georgia, can you help anyone in any state, or are there just specific states that you can help people in?
No, I help people in many states personally in my organization, but then I also work with another organization, and they're in the states that I am not in.
Okay, perfect. So you're just the perfect starting point for any questions, and because if you can't help that person, you can refer them to someone who can.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. So that has been so helpful. I know that you're going to have helped so many people. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me, Allison. It's always a pleasure.